Hey fam, happy 4th of July. Hope you're having a good day. Take a moment, if you haven't already, to like my video and become a subscriber. This is my review of Ambition Season 1, Episode 3. So the show starts off basically, Amara has the mayor's co-worker, the woman from the last episode, the white lady, pretty. He's sleeping with her, Miss Manning. She has her in her office and she's questioning her. And she basically accuses her of accepting kickbacks and contract skimming. And the woman, of course, denies, and Amara threatens her basically, and she leaves. All right, then we see Bella. She visits Evan in his office. Okay, she got dressed up. She made a whole appointment and everything, and she went into his office, and basically, she's asking for a shop in the airport, and this is so that she's able to target travelers for her fashions. Basically, it's a way for her to get her stuff started on an international level. All right. He's really not feeling it, even though she has an entire plan. She has an entire plan drawn up. You know, it's a formal document that she's giving him, and she's pressing him on it. And she is leaning so hard on him when he's telling her no. She literally grabs his balls hard, okay? And she's just throwing her weight around at this point. Anyway, okay, from there we see Greg. He visits Stephanie's office to express his frustration over Rondell launching her activism group that she had put together last episode over the restaurant he needs. Over the construction, they need to tear down, of course, her restaurant. And so Greg's pissed off and he's telling Stephanie about it. And let me see, she lets him know she is the one to get this taken care of, okay? Not her father, because originally her father was the one who was supposed to have this taken care of, and he hasn't been successful. And we all know how Stephanie wants to take over for him anyway, so she's throwing her hat in the ring. And there's some chemistry there going on between Stephanie and Greg, okay? I wouldn't be shocked if we see them doing it very soon here. I'm like, I really feel like there's going to be a whole lot of sex happening all over the show, because there already is. All right, let me see. Then we see Titus, and Titus is at work, okay? And he's talking to the owner's daughter, okay? She runs the advertising portion of the company for the Purefoys, all right? And okay, so he wants her to pull the ads that she's supposed to run in tomorrow's paper. He's saying that they're too aggressive. Now, keep in mind, they are being sued, okay? This pharmaceutical company is being sued. And the last thing you want to be appearing to do is be aggressive with your advertising. It just looks bad going into court. It looks worse, okay? And let me see. She's refusing, basically, and she threatens him, basically. She tells him that he needs to stay in her lane. I'm an advertisement. You take care of this court case. Let me see. From there, we see Stephanie goes to visit Mr. Lancaster at the restaurant, offering the check for Thelma's. Okay, so she slid in there. Now, mind you, Mr. Lancaster is her husband's father. So her father-in-law, okay? She goes in there, and they're meeting alone, so Rondell's not there. And she's flirtatious with her father-in-law. I mean, like, flirtatious, like, uncomfortably flirtatious. Takes her jacket off, you know. Anyway, she basically tells him, Rondell's been the whole one taking care of this. She's like, I thought I would offer this to you since you're the actual owner of, you know, this restaurant. So she slides him a check, and he's freaked out because he had no idea that they were offering this much. All right, so let me see. From there. Okay, then we see Rondell enters the restaurant at that point, and her father literally goes off on her, okay, because she didn't let him know exactly what they were being offered. He can't believe that she's gone to this extent with this amount of money being offered. And she's telling him that they just trying to take over our whole neighborhood. It doesn't matter how much it's for. And he's like, that's not your choice. I own the restaurant. All right. So basically, man, we then see Evan in his office, and Miss Manning, who Amara had threatened at the beginning, she shows up there. I'm sorry, Miss Manning was so shook after that whole meeting that she goes and tells Evan about it because she's freaked out. And he's like, who? And she tells him who. And he's like, don't worry about it. You know, this, you don't need to worry about this, because she literally told her, you'll fall first. Amara told her, you'll fall first. The smallest person on the totem pole gets hit the first and the hardest, okay? So he's just basically telling her not to worry about it. And then we see her leave, and he does look a little concerned, but I'm sure Evan is used to weaseling his way out of things because he's kind of a snake. All right, so from there, Titus, we see him later on at his office, and Lori, the owner's daughter who does the advertisement, she's walking by and he stops her, and he tells her, you know, I put a stop to the advertisement that you were about to run. And she's like, on whose authority? And he's like, mine. Right? Then he tells her that from now on, he needs to vet any ads that she plans to put out, basically until they have this whole lawsuit taken care of. And she's like, you can't be serious. She calls him an ass, basically, and she storms off. Okay, so we then see Titus, and he is showing up to a live jazz band club with the only other brother that works at the company, the Pier 4 company. And so the only two black guys that work there, and I don't understand that, in Georgia. Okay, anyway, so his colleague goes off to meet one of his friends is there, so he's left sitting alone for a moment, and at that point, Stephanie comes. Apparently, this is a very happening spot for black folks in the city, so they all go meet there, you know. So she shows up there, and they both end up sitting down talking. They order a drink, and they start reminiscing about the days when they were in college together, and they're talking about different parties they went to, and then after parties, they would go home and study. Only they actually didn't study. They ended up having sex, and that's, of course, where their mind goes. So in this moment, you see that Titus sort of daydreams that he's leaned over and he's stroking her hair, and he catches himself in this moment. So at that point, he's like, I think I should probably go home. So he pays for the drinks, and he gets up and he leaves. All right, let me see. We then see Lori. All right. She runs to her dad's office, the one that was checked about the whole advertisement she was running. And she basically is telling him that he needs to be concerned about, she saw Titus leaving with the only other black guy in the office. And her dad is like, hello, people migrate towards people that are like them. That's no big deal. And she's like, aren't you concerned that maybe he is? Because the guy is their chief pharmacologist. And she's basically saying that she thinks that he will give Titus, where'd it go? Information that he doesn't need to have, referring to the company, which makes absolutely no sense. And her dad's like, does this have anything to do about the ads that he stopped you from running? And she's like, she refers to Titus, this kills me, she calls him a jizz stain. A jizz stain. Okay, I haven't heard this one before, but damn. She calls him arrogant, basically. And she thinks he should not trust him, even though he's like his surrogate son. That's basically how high up on the totem pole she's trying to present him to her dad, because they're pretty close. And she's concerned about him stepping into her kingdom. And her dad basically tell her, you have balls the size of watermelons. And she's like, I know, I got it from you. All right, so anyway, from there, Evan goes to visit Bella at home, and she is immediately asking about her proposal, and she wants him, you know, have you looked at it, da 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 da. And he says that she messed up visiting his office. And he's like, basically, we need to cool off our relationship. And she's like, are you breaking up with me? And he's like, we really don't need to be doing this right now, at least for a while. So at this point, there's a knock at the door, and it's Roderick. He's like, babe, I know you're here. I saw your car, blah, blah, blah. And so Evan goes and hides behind a door. So then she goes and answers the door, and she turns her back immediately, and she's in tears because Evan just dumped her, okay? And Roderick's like, babe, what's wrong? And she's like, I've just had a really bad day. And he's like, you know, I want to be there for you. I want to be there for you and Joaquin, her son. Evan's son, okay? Evan is listening to all this. And he's getting pissed listening to this. Oh, boy's talking about his son like he's going to be daddy there, whatever. All right, so basically they end up kissing and moving over to the couch, and they're taking their clothes off, and they go all out at it, okay? And Evan has cracked the door. Now, at this point, he probably could have left, snuck out quietly, out. No, he's watching the whole thing, basically, listening to it. And then when they're done, Roderick gets dressed, and, you know, he's like, well, I'm going to go, and he kisses her, and he leaves. And Evan comes out, and he is pissed, okay? I'm like, oh, my gosh, mad as hell. Okay, so when he comes out, oh, my goodness. He basically tells her that being involved with her was a mistake from the beginning. He's so freaking pissed. And he just leaves, okay? But when he walks out of her door, on the other side of the door, you could tell he's totally pissed, but it almost seems like he's going to cry, too, like he's hurt. He's pissed and he's hurt. I mean, he might be using Bella, but he does somewhat care about her. Okay, so from there, we see Amara comes home from work, and Titus is fixing the coffee table, something she's been asking him to do over and over. And basically, he tells her about the spoiled boss's daughter, basically, and she's like, honey, we leave work at work, okay? And true. Okay, so then there's a knock at the door, and it's their daughter who walks in, and she looks a whole colorful, crazy teenage mess as she stops by on her way to go to a concert she called her dad about earlier that he sort of agreed to let her go to. And she looks crazy. Her parents are shocked. And okay, so from there, we then see Stephanie having dinner with her daughter at home, and her daughter's on her phone on Instagram stalking Lori, the girl that works for the Pier 4, the daughter there, the one that licked her on her mouth in episode 1. She's stalking her online. Anyway, Stephanie is asking her about the guy that she was dating. And then she goes right into her attending law school. She's always pressing her daughter. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And let me see. She doesn't want her to let her... She's going to be in this play. You know, she's said this first episode, and she doesn't want her being in this play to get in the way of her studies, basically. And she basically insults her, telling her that she's no Viola Davis, basically. And you can see the hurt immediately on her daughter's face. And Carly gets up and she walks away. She is so pissed, and Stephanie sort of runs after her. But then she's interrupted because the phone call rings, or she gets a phone call, and it's basically her co-worker that she had looking up Damian Collins, if you remember, Alma's cheating partner. All right. So from then we now see Bella, and she walks Roderick. Oh wow, I already went over that. Man, I split this up totally. Okay, then we see Alma and Titus. Listen to their daughter complain about her school that they sent her to. She says there are only 5 other black kids on campus. Why do people do that when they get money? Oh my God, just dumb as hell. Okay, so then the doorbell rings, and she goes to answer it, and you know, she kisses the guy that's at the door, and he enters. Oh my goodness, y'all. This crazy ass looking white boy with a blue mohawk comes in, and they're both just standing there like mouths open, and she introduces him to her parents, and they are both so freaked out. They're just like, they're talking shit about him to each other under their breath. It's freaking hilarious, y'all. It's literally that commercial, the cliche commercial about the guy you don't want your daughter dating. That's who showed up. All right, so anyway, they leave to go to the concert together. And let me see. We then see Rondell visits Evan at home. And she's going off about Stephanie coming to the restaurant, offering her dad that check. And he's telling her selling might be the best thing for you. He says that working 16 hours a day isn't good for her, and that it's the reason that she's not married and she doesn't have any kids. And she's like, I don't need to be married or have any kids, basically. Let me see. Then Stephanie enters, and she's telling Evan to stay out of it. And Rodell's like, this is a private conversation. You need to see your way. Just go on. Stephanie tells her to scurry back to that rat trap of a restaurant that she owns. Stephanie is such... I don't know how somebody hasn't knocked her ass out at this point. Okay, Rondell then checks her about the crow's feet that are growing across her face, telling her basically she might want to set up another Botox appointment. Wow, the shade. Okay, then we see Titus and Amara, and they're at home, and they're playing Twister, and they're having a pretty good time. And then their daughter comes back, and it's like she's only been gone a couple hours. Basically, the tickets that they had bought online ended up being fakes. They couldn't get into the concert, so she comes back home. She ends up playing Twister with her parents. It's a nice little night at home. Then we see Stephanie's daughter Carly, and she shows up to visit Lori Pearfort at her home, and she's nervous as hell, y'all. Okay, this is her very first gay encounter. So they almost immediately, when she walks in, they start kissing, and then her phone rings, and Lori grabs the phone, and she's pretending that she's talking to Carly's dad, telling her that they're having a passionate moment, and Carly's freaking out, and she's like, no, I'm just kidding. And she's like, I promise you that I will never hurt you, and I would never put you out there like that. And they end up doing it, y'all. Like I said, a whole lot of sex in the show. And no, they don't show it. It's not graphic, but you know what's going on, all right? Then we see Carly returns home when her mom has the chance there. She's apologizing for insulting her acting abilities, basically. And she tells her she wants her to be the best Carly that she can be. And Carly's like, you sound like an Army commercial. And she's like, I'm a land... No, because she said, she wants, what did she say? Her last name. Oh, I can't remember. She gave her maiden last name and said, I want you to be the best, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm a Lancaster. And she continues here pressing her about the Khalil guy that she was dating. And Carly can't believe that they're trying to pimp her out. That's literally what she said. I can't believe you're trying to pimp me out. And she shuts all hopes of a relationship down with Khalil to her mother at that point, because she's not even trying to, is bullshit. And she knows she's gay. All right, so Stephanie then grabs her bag, and she's like, you're leaving? And she's like, yeah, I just have a small business trip to take overnight. I'll be back in the morning. Okay, we then see Titus and Amara. They're at home together. They're lying on a little twister board. I guess their daughter went to bed. And they're just basically stating that they're happy. They're doing good, and they're happy that they were able to walk away from the bad cheating situation and make themselves a whole new life here in Georgia. All right, so then Evan visits his dad at Thelma's about whether he's going to sell or not. And he shares that he doesn't want Rondell in this neighborhood being threatened as she is now. That's what dad is saying. And he says, whether you sell or not, I've got Rondell. I'll take care of her no matter what. What they don't know is that Rondell is in the kitchen listening to the entire conversation. So you're still left with the question. We don't know what dad's going to do there. Then Stephanie meets with, oh, this is the last shot of the show, y'all. So she's in a restaurant, and she's sitting there having a drink, and she turns around, and fine-ass, caramel-colored, bald-headed, with perfect teeth, and dimples included, y'all. Damon Collins, that's who she's meeting with, okay? Oh my gosh. She gonna bring that fool back home, okay? She is really she is about all the smoke, and she's trying to bring it to Amara and to Titus. I believe she's trying to break them all the way up, y'all. Anyway, the episode was good. Hope you liked it, and thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.